an idea for a novel. A spy story to end all spy stories.
We are talking about Fleming. I mean, this is a cool story because this is the man who created 007. What is it like getting to be a part of this story and making this story and putting it together?
What's so wonderful about this 4-part miniseries is that whether you're au fait with Bond, whether you know anything about Ian Fleming or not, it can stand alone as a 4-part miniseries, and yet there are so many lovely little nods to the Bond that we know of today that any Bond fanatics are in for a good time too.
I think the thing with Fleming was that he wanted to be Bond. His whole life was he wanted to be a man of action, and actually he was a man of ideas, and he never really had it within him to go out there and be out there in the field and do all the things that James Bond does. So we kind of see him attempting to be James Bond and failing each time. I think that's fun for an audience to see.
Well, I thought we could set a trap. Send a dead body to get washed ashore.
So what is it like getting to put these stories to the screen and make, you know, like, oh, this guy, well, he wanted to do it, just couldn't seem to quite nail it down, so maybe you should just write it down. Yeah, well, that's what he starts off as a kind of playboy with a lot of money from his family, not knowing what to do, sleeping with a different woman every night, messing around, screwing up his job, and then he gets to a point where it's like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And then the war happens, and suddenly he becomes a spy, and he has to create fiction for a living. He goes there and tells lies to the Nazis, tells lies to the outer world, and actually that process of becoming a fiction writer actually stands him in good stead when he starts writing novels.
This is my own file.
And so do you get to play with any of the cool gadgets and get to tinker around with any of the stuff?
The real Fleming was obsessed with gadgets. I mean, that's where all that stuff comes from. We do have a moment where they kind of the cue gag moment that you have in every Bond film, but it's all the 1940s versions of it. It's the kind of the golf ball which you open up and you hide the microfilm in and so on. So it's the lo-fi old version of all the James Bond films.
That's what's so lovely to look back now in 2014 and see where it all came from, where that entire world spurred from. And what's so lovely is that because it is set in this period, it's so cinematic. It lends itself to being a very, very beautiful piece of film.
Fleming? Peter's brother? Do you write too?
I collect.
What is it about Fleming himself that made this such an interesting story that needed to be told?
I think he's such a complex character, and actually it's rare that you get a chance to do that, whether it's film or TV. Generally speaking, see them at the beginning and they're who they are. You don't really get a chance to expand that character. What was fascinating with me, we start off where it's towards the end of his life and he's writing a novel, then we go back and see him more or less as a boy. He has this real relationship with his brother and his mum, with this all rivalry between them and the family. And then you see him grow through the course of the war. Having the chance to see his relationship expand with those people and then with Anne, who Lara plays, was fascinating. And I think you see him at moments and he's very vulnerable, you see him at times when he's very tough, you see him with this very strong, dynamic sexual relationship with Anne, and then you see him with other women as well. And the fact that Dominic gets to play all those different sides of the character, I think it's a big challenge, but it's not something you really see normally on TV.
What's your favourite Bond movie? Go.
It's got to be Skyfall.
007, reporting for duty.
No, I said From Russia with Love.
I should imagine so.
But I think it's got to be either Connery or it's got to be Daniel Craig.
Yes.
I loved the recent Casino Royale.
Yeah, that's a good one.